Donald Trump's ceasefire in the Gaza Strip lasted just over a week, and today it was broken. Right now, new strikes by the Israeli army have been observed in the city of Rafah, and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has given an official order for new strikes against Hamas militants. The Israel Defense Forces report that this morning Palestinian terrorists fired rocket-propelled grenades and sniper weapons at Israeli troops operating in the Rafah area in the southern Gaza Strip. Immediately after that, the Israel Defense Forces carried out strikes with fighter jets and artillery in order to, as they put it, eliminate the threats. Moreover, even the United States State Department today suddenly officially stated that the Hamas group is planning to violate the ceasefire agreement, specifically planning an attack on the civilian population of the Gaza Strip. This raises the question, will Israel and Hamas really not move on to the second stage of Trump's peace agreement, and is the war in the Gaza Strip really resuming? My name is Aleksei Pechiy. Today is October 19th. Let's go through this step by step. But before we start, I ask you to subscribe to this channel. Leave a like, write any comment you want, and subscribe to the Pechiy News Telegram channel. The link to it is in the description of this video. And if you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so with any donation using the links and details in the description of this video. It says there, support the channel Aleksei Pechiy. Choose any format that is convenient for you. I will be grateful for any support you give. So, Israel carried out several strikes on the Gaza Strip, stating that its troops came under fire from Hamas militants, which is a blatant violation of the ceasefire. This became the first serious test for the truce brokered by the United States. An Israeli military spokesperson said today that Hamas attacked Israeli forces in Rafah using rocket-propelled grenades and sniper fire, which forced Israel to strike that area. According to another military official, on Sunday, in 3 separate incidents, Hamas opened fire on Israeli forces beyond the so-called Yellow Line, which Israeli troops had withdrawn behind in accordance with the ceasefire agreement. Moreover, sources on the ground even reported that Israeli forces suffered casualties as a result of the Hamas attack beyond the Yellow Line. At the same time, hospitals and eyewitnesses in the Gaza Strip report that at least 8 people were killed as a result of Israeli strikes in several areas of Gaza. But these are organizations operating under the leadership of Hamas that are making such statements. Right now, both sides are accusing each other of violating the ceasefire since it came into effect 9 days ago. It put an end to months of fighting and allowed for the release of Israeli hostages, as well as Palestinian prisoners, scholars, and detainees. However, Sunday's incidents are the most serious to date. And in a statement released today, Sunday, Hamas said it remains committed to the ceasefire agreement. Its military wing, the Al-Qassam brigades, denies any knowledge of, quote, any incidents or clashes in Rafah and states its commitment to the truce in all areas of the Gaza Strip. But there's a discrepancy here, so we need to investigate further. Today, the United States State Department stated that the Hamas group is planning to violate the ceasefire agreement, specifically planning an attack on the civilian population of the Gaza Strip. Quote, this planned attack on Palestinian civilians would constitute a direct and blatant violation of the ceasefire agreement and undermine the significant progress achieved through mediation efforts. The guarantors demand that Hamas fulfill its obligations in accordance with the terms of the ceasefire. The United States also noted that the guarantor countries of the peace agreement have already been informed about credible reports regarding Hamas's plans. Washington also stated that if the group Taki carries out its attack plan, measures will be taken to protect the population Gaza and to preserve the integrity of the ceasefire agreement. And in response, as Al Jazeera reports, Hamas has already denied the statement made by the United States State Department. They stated that the accusations are false and fully aligned with deceptive Israeli propaganda, covering up the ongoing crime of occupation and the organized aggression against Palestinians in Gaza. Example. Israeli Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held security consultations on Sunday with Defense Minister Israel Katz and the military, instructing them to act decisively against terrorist targets in the Gaza Strip. The Israel Defense Forces stated that they carried out airstrikes and artillery fire on Arafah, destroying infrastructure. Hamas. Next is a quote from Katz. Hamas will pay a high price for every shooting and violation of the ceasefire. And if our signal is not understood, the intensity of our response will continue to increase. Now Netanyahu is facing pressure, forcing him to respond to any violations by Hamas. Because right now, the far-right parties that support his coalition are putting a lot of pressure on him. Meanwhile, Minister of National Security Itamar Ben-Gvir urged Netanyahu to fully restart the war in the Gaza Strip. And this is where Hamas, as they say, exposed itself. The thing is, the militants' provocation happened on Sunday morning, when Hamas announced that its internal security forces, called RADA, were attacked by them. As they put it, the hideout of the Israel-backed militia led by Yasser Abu Shabab. Let me remind you that in June, Israel confirmed that it was arming several such militias in an attempt to counter Hamas. And this episode explains a lot. The thing is, these militias are now actually operating from the Israeli-occupied territories in Gaza. That is behind that very yellow line, and accordingly they are behind this line. You could say they're somewhat under the protection of Israeli troops. Since the ceasefire began last week, Hamas has generally been carrying out a punitive campaign aimed at, as they put it, quote, collaborators, mercenaries, thieves, bandits, and those who cooperate with the Zionist enemy throughout the Gaza Strip. And these internal clashes have already created an unstable security situation in the affected enclave, where clashes have broken out between Hamas and rival groups in areas of Gaza, including an incident that culminated in the apparent public execution of 8 people in a square in Gaza City in front of a large crowd of onlookers. So the Palestinians simply witnessed 8 people being executed, shot right in the square. That's right, this incident further complicated the ceasefire, and the next steps are still undetermined. How Trump's peace plan will be implemented is entirely unknown. In addition, as of now, Hamas has returned 12 out of 28 bodies of deceased hostages in accordance with the ceasefire agreement with Israel, which came into effect last week. Although they were supposed to return all the bodies within 72 hours a long time ago, but so far, only 12 out of 28. So something tells me that the United States will still have to get involved in this situation militarily, well, or give Israel the green light for the complete elimination of Hamas, because Hamas apparently is still trying to retain power in the Gaza Strip. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. That's all for now. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.